What if I told you you could retire at 55 or even 50, not 62 or 65? See, we've been programmed to believe that retirement only starts at 60 or 62 or 65. Why? Because that's when retirement accounts become available. Social Security starts or Medicare kicks in. But the truth is, those rules don't define your retirement. What holds people back from retiring early, even if they've been dreaming about it for years? One is fear. Fear that they don't have enough. And that's fair. You've never retired before, so you don't really know what it takes. Another is timing. I'll wait until X, Y, or Z happens. And sometimes that's legitimate. But from working with hundreds of retirees, I can tell you a lot of those timing reasons are mostly arbitrary. And often, they're tied to that idea that you can't touch your money before 59 and a half, which you might be surprised to hear actually isn't true. Retiring before age 60 or 65 is not as outlandish as what most people have been programmed to think. Are there hurdles to overcome? Of course. But is it possible? Absolutely. Hi, I'm Rob, certified financial planner, and today we're talking about how to retire at 55. Yes, it is possible, and in this video, I'll show you exactly what it takes to make it work. Hi, I'm Rob, certified financial planner, and today we're talking about how to retire at 55. Yes, it is possible, and in this video, I'll show you exactly what it takes to make it work. If you want to retire at 55, you can't rely on the same strategies built for retiring at age 65. They won't get you there. Most advice says draw from this account first, then shift to that one later. It's overly simple, rigid, and it doesn't reflect how life actually works. Life is fluid. Markets change, expenses fluctuate, so our retirement plan should be just as flexible. That means we need to get creative. You need a bridge between now and 59 and a half or later when some of those other benefits start to kick in. That bridge can include taxable investments, real estate income, cash savings, dividends, interests, life insurance, and yes, even retirement accounts in some cases. So what do I mean by accessing retirement accounts before age 59 and a half without penalty? There's a special rule that few people know about called the IRS Rule of 72T. It lets you take structured withdrawals from your IRA or 401k before 59 and a half without the 10% penalty. Sounds great, right? But there's a catch. Once you start 72T, you can't stop. You must follow a fixed schedule for at least 5 years or until age 59 and a half, whichever is longer. Payments must follow IRS rules, no changes allowed, and if you break the rule, you will owe penalties retroactively on everything that's been taken out. So while it is a legitimate option that few people know about, it's usually not the best one for most people. It's too rigid. It limits flexibility, and in the early years of retirement are when you want the most flexibility possible. So here's what we do instead. We're going to start with non-retirement accounts, like a taxable brokerage account, high-yield savings, or just plain cash. These accounts allow for more flexible withdrawals and is one of the primary reasons that we're encouraging clients more and more to spread out their money and not follow the traditional rules that say to max out retirement accounts before saving into any other types of investments. I think this advice is a little bit outdated, especially as more and more people look to retire earlier than what their parents did. Saving into different types of accounts other than your 401ks, 403bs, and IRAs can create a whole different world of flexibility for you when you're looking out 20 or 30 years into the future. And having this flexibility is critical if you want to retire before things like Social Security and Medicare kick in. We use a method called laddering for your accounts. Here's how it works. We're going to take maybe one account that you have with a bunch of cash and non-retirement assets in it, And we're going to spread it out into 3 different buckets. We're going to start with a bucket for spending on immediate expenses in the first couple of years. We're going to make a second bucket for, say, years 2 to 5. And we're going to have a third bucket, or maybe even a fourth bucket, for those years 5 to 10 years and longer. This setup lets us draw from one account while the others stay invested and continue growing. It smooths out the market risk and helps to reduce tax surprises. And the cool thing that a lot of people don't realize is that some of these withdrawals may show up as income to you, but not on your tax return. If you're spending cash or selling investments with little to no gains, you're creating income without creating major tax implications. You could fund an entire year with no reportable income depending on how your accounts are structured. The more time that we have to prepare for this stage of life, the more flexibility and tax efficiency that we can build into it. That's powerful flexibility, and it's what makes early retirement work smoothly. Now let's talk about a big one, healthcare. When you're retiring at 55, you're not getting coverage from an employer anymore. You're responsible for 100% of your premiums. That means going to private health insurance. And for most people, the cost of that coverage can be shocking. I've got a client who pays over $1,000 for just herself alone, and another couple paying over $1,500 a month for them. And they're both healthy with no major medical issues. That monthly premium can add up to be easily over $100,000 that we need to account for over the next 10 years before Medicare kicks in. But like anything else in retirement, we plan for it. We build it into the numbers, and there's a few options to get creative planning for healthcare expenses until we reach age 65. Option 1. Let's carve out a healthcare bucket inside of your plan. So take those 3 buckets that we talked about earlier, and let's make a fourth one specifically for medical expenses, healthcare premiums. This bucket could actually be an HSA that you already have, or simply a separate cash account split off from non-retirement assets that we are labeling and investing specifically for the purpose of funding healthcare premiums. If you're interested in more information about HSAs, I've got a video that we just released the other week breaking it all down, and I'll put the link in the description below. Option 2. Find somewhere that you can take a part-time job, not for the income, but just for the benefits. I've got a few clients that work at places like Lowe's, Costco, and Home Depot that offer coverage to their part-timers. Remember, it's not forever, it's just a bridge, and it works. And heck, you might even find in an early retirement, you like getting out of the house and hanging out with some people at some of those stores. The bottom line is health insurance isn't a surprise if we planned for it. And in an early retirement, we always plan for it. Now let's talk about what really matters, because here's the truth. Retirement is harder than it looks. At first, no meetings, no deadlines, sounds great. But for a lot of people, that novelty wears off quickly. If you've spent the last 30 years in motion, you don't suddenly want to sit still, especially if you're the type of person that's positioned themselves to be able to retire early. It's just not how you're wired. I've found the happiest retirees I know, they have a purpose. They volunteer, they mentor, they start businesses or creative projects. I have one client who was the CEO for a huge company. Now, he's got a part-time gig coaching young CEOs on his own time. Another client owned a large painting company. Now he does guided fishing tours because it's what he loves to do. Another flips houses. He and his wife love it. This is real work. They're not sitting around doing nothing, but it's on their own terms. And even if you're not making $300,000, $400,000, or $500,000 a year or more, most people are very surprised to see how even a little bit of income, much less than they ever even thought of, goes a long way in early retirement. Let's say we figured you need $100,000 a year, and you've got $500,000 in a non-retirement investment savings account that we're going to tap into. without any other income, that's a 20% withdrawal rate, and it's not that sustainable. We know we're going to run that account down to zero in 5 years, give or take. But if you were able to earn just $50,000 a year doing work you actually enjoy, suddenly you'd only need a 10% withdrawal from that account, which is still high, but much more sustainable. You've significantly reduced the amount of stress on your portfolio, and I've seen that small change take somebody from a 60% success of probability in an early retirement to 95% or higher. Let me show you a quick example. Here's a quick look at our friends Frank and Joanna Miller. Frank and Joanna have about $2 million saved, and they're looking to retire at age 55. You can see here what their projection is, assuming no additional part-time income. And what this picture tells us is that more than likely, Fred and Joanna have an okay chance of having a successful early retirement, but there's also a chance that they could run out of money. And so what the current picture looks like is that Frank and Joanna have about a 56% probability of success. The probability of success being defined as the chances that they run out of money prior to their age 95. But look at the impact here. If we turn on just $40,000 a year of consulting income from either Fred or Joanna, and this is, in their instance, consulting income, but plug in whatever it is that you want to do. Guided fishing chores, flipping houses, working part-time, whatever it might be, but let's just assume $40,000 a year of additional income. You can see how this takes their probability of success all the way to 83%. And if we increase that income even more, this probability of success is going to go up even further. And when I switch back to show you what their big picture view looks like, you can see how what was once trending downwards later in life, and this is only doing part-time income until age 65, causes a significant shift in their long-term projections and their likelihood of success in an early retirement. So ask yourself, what could you do that you enjoy that also offsets withdrawals from your investment accounts? Thanks for joining us today. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Now let's zoom out a bit, because retiring early isn't just about spreadsheets. It's about time, energy, and how much life you want to actually enjoy while you're still healthy. If you could reduce your stress by 90%, keep 40% of your income, and still live the life you want, that's a huge win. That's not just financial planning, that's life planning. And here, that's what we're all about, getting the most ROI out of life and your money. Here's how we make this work step by step. First, calculate your core annual expenses. Then add in your goals like travel, hobbies, fun money. Next, work with a professional to estimate your healthcare premiums for your area. Add it all together. Now subtract any passive income from things like rental properties, interest, dividends, or small businesses. Let's say you found that your total expenses annually are going to be about $100,000 a year, and you figured that you already have about $15,000 a year coming from passive income sources. So now we know we need to solve for $85,000 a year from your investment savings. Next, we map it out. Which accounts to tap, what the tax impact is, and how the rest stays invested for growth. Then we start modeling out scenarios. What if the markets drop? If income changes? Do you take on some part-time work? What if it pays more? What if it pays less? What if we spend more? What if we spend less? We create these scenarios to help you envision exactly how those first few years of retirement can play out. After that, the wheels are in motion and we monitor it throughout the year, each and every year, and we make changes as necessary. That's how we keep your plan strong and flexible no matter what happens. You can retire at 55, but it takes a smart, intentional plan. 72T is a real thing. Leverage non-retirement accounts first, ladder assets by timeline, plan ahead for healthcare expenses, consider some part-time income, and focus big time on the lifestyle you want to live. If you want help building your early retirement plan, we offer a free, no-pressure consultation. There's a link in the description below where you can book a time to chat. Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more insights. Thanks a lot. We'll see you in the next video.